When observing the grand and splendid parades held in the main squares of countries, many of us ask the question, why do countries organize such costly activities instead of investing those resources in more practical areas of life, such as building schools and hospitals? This question seems very simple, but it contains a whole stream of reflection on the role and meaning of parades and processions in national life. First of all, it is important to understand that parades and marches are highly symbolic activities for any country. They are not only occasions for the military or armed forces to demonstrate strength, discipline, and readiness to defend the homeland, but also moments for the entire society to reflect, pay tribute to history, remember the great sacrifices of previous generations, and at the same time look toward the future with a spirit of unity and national pride. When a country chooses an important date, often National Day, Victory Day, or a major anniversary, to hold a parade, it is essentially an event that helps reinforce the spirit of solidarity, foster patriotism, and build confidence in the sustainable development of the nation. Each military parade is not only about perfectly synchronized steps, rows of neatly dressed soldiers, and modern equipment casting shadows over the square, but behind it lies a message sent to the people themselves that the country is capable of protecting its independence and sovereignty, sent to international friends that this is a strong nation capable of ensuring peace and security, and sometimes also sending a deterrent signal to forces with intentions of invasion. That is why, in both developed and developing countries, military parades are still preserved as a long-standing tradition. Speaking of costs, it is true that large parades consume a considerable budget. From training thousands of people, to preparing costumes, equipment, organizing security, media, and related aspects. But if we only look at the expenses and forget the immense intangible value of this activity, we easily fall into a narrow perspective. That is the invisible but strong bond, capable of inspiring and awakening national pride in the hearts of millions of people, especially the younger generation. Besides its spiritual value, the parade also carries educational significance. The neat, disciplined, and united images of the forces participating in the march are vivid proof of the necessity of willpower and collective spirit. It is a silent lesson about the power of solidarity, discipline, and steadfastness in the face of all challenges. When millions of people watch a parade on television, no one can help but feel moved thinking about the glorious past, while also reminding themselves of the responsibility to build the country in the present and future. Moreover, military parades often attract the attention of the international media. They are an opportunity to promote the country's image and strengthen its position on the international stage, something that even spending a lot of money on advertising and public diplomacy sometimes cannot achieve with the same emotional impact and pride. This is because the solemnity and grandeur of the parade easily touch the hearts of anyone, whether they are inside the country or abroad, whether they are ordinary citizens or heads of state. There is also an opinion that instead of holding a military parade, the budget should be allocated to social activities such as building schools and hospitals. This argument is very practical and well-intentioned. However, the issue should not be framed as having this means not having that. In reality, the national budget is allocated to different sectors, with regular funding sources for education, healthcare, and social welfare. The cost of a parade usually accounts for only a very small portion of the total budget and only takes place on special occasions, not affecting long-term development tasks. If the extravagant parades were frequent and continuous, that would be a matter worthy of criticism, but when they are periodic events, carefully prepared, with clear purposes and profound meaning, this expenditure is entirely acceptable, even necessary. In addition, parades can also stimulate the domestic economy to a certain extent. Organizing large events brings along many service activities, promotion, tourism, consumption, creating more jobs and increasing income for many local people. It is no coincidence that in some countries, every major holiday becomes an event that attracts numerous visitors, researchers, and diplomatic delegations to witness, contributing to promoting international exchange and cooperation. Finally, it can be affirmed that no country builds a society solely on material things. Lasting prosperity must go hand in hand with the spirit of solidarity, self-reliance, and the pride of the entire nation. That is why countries, whether rich or poor, modern or still facing many difficulties, all value grand parades and processions as a form of patriotic education, reminding the current generation not to forget the past and to look towards a common future. After all, the cost of these activities, when compared to the great spiritual work they build, will not be a major issue. People have the right to question, demand transparency, thriftiness, and avoid waste in organization. But they should also be aware of the profound meaning of the troops marching through the square. That is the enduring symbol of an indomitable nation, one that values its history and is ready to build for the future.